He said, yes. I said, would you go to her and tell her that the evangelist for the camp meeting would like to meet her and ask her if she would come to the camp meeting? He said, I'll do it. So he did. And she came. She had never been to that camp meeting in the history of its existence. I was on the platform, but she walked in after the service was in full sway. There were probably about 1,500 people there, 1,200 at least. When she walked through that back door, the spirit world changed in that auditorium just like that because of the anointing she carried in her body. She walked down the side aisle, came all the way down here, came across, and sat down in the front. When she sat down there, I leaned over to the superintendent. His name was Green Kitchen at that time. Literally, that was his name, Green Kitchen. And I said, Brother Kitchen, I want to hear Willie sing tonight. As an evangelist, I get away with things, and I like it. And the older I get, the more I get away with, and I really like that. So I said, I'd like to hear her sing. He said, no problem. So in the course of the service, after several minutes, he said, Willie, I'd like you to come to the platform and sing. She stood to her feet. She was a gracious, elegant person. She stood, and keep on, when she stepped on the platform, I stood in honor of her because she was an absolute regal child of God. She really was. I stood in my way. I acknowledged her. When she stepped in the pulpit, all she did was throw her hands in the air and shout, glory! And when she did, the power of God exploded in that place. It was amazing. After the service that night, outside that auditorium, I watched full-grown men come in the night in the grass and fall down at her feet and grab her hands and kiss her hands and thank her for coming to their coal mining village or whatever 20 years ago, 50 years ago, and praying them through to the baptism of the Holy Ghost. It was one of the most incredible things I'd ever seen. We went to this restaurant, and we're seated here. I'm here. Billy Cole is here. Willie Johnson is here. Her daughter's here, and someone over here, someone Shirley Cole. And you know, Billy was unpredictable. We're in the middle of a truck stop. It's the only place to eat at that time of night in Virginia was a truck stop. Well, you know what truck stops are. So here we are at this round table in the middle of everything. Billy Cole, I looked at him, and tears ran down his face. He leaned forward. He said, Willie, I want to hear you sing. She said, now, here? He said, yes. She straightened like this, with her hands like this, over her mouth, and began to sing an old hymn. When she did, the presence of God came into that truck stop. People stopped eating everywhere, all over the place, and the Holy Ghost swept through that place. I'm not talking about someone 2,000 years ago. I'm talking about someone we know in our lifetime. These people are part of us. We are part of them. It was amazing. So after that, I gave her a copy of my book on the gifts of the Spirit and autographed it for her. The next night she came back. She said, oh, Brother Stoneking. I said, yes. She said, I've always known I had something, but never knew what I had. She said, I have the word of knowledge, don't I? I said, yes, well, you do. You've had it for years. That's how she was. Well, years later, when Billy Cole came back from Thailand the first time, he was in that area in Virginia. Well, he was, and he said to his father, J.C. Cole, he said to his dad, he said, Dad, drive me by Willie's house. He said, I want to see Willie. He just got back from Thailand. And he said, I want to see Willie. So his dad said, well, he said, I'll drive by, and if her old Cadillac is there, we'll know she's home, and we'll stop, and you can go in and see her. And then they drove on a little bit, and J.C. Cole said to Billy, his son, he said, well, you know, he said, I used to have Willie come and preach for me all the time, he said, but she doesn't really preach anymore. All she does when she comes is just comfort the people, so I don't have her anymore. That's all he said. They got to the house, and the old Cadillac was there. So they parked the car, got out, and walked up the sidewalk, the steps, and Billy knocked on the door, and Willie came to the door, and when she opened it, she saw Billy, and they just grabbed each other and hugged each other, because they were raised together in Virginia. They sat down. Willie was here. J.C. Cole was here. Billy was here. Willie Johnson looked across at him, and she said, "Someone has to comfort them." She knew what he had said. This is who we are, people. These things are happening among us. They need to happen among us. And they are happening among us. Just lift your hands for a moment and just worship the Lord.